Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Instagram Collectors interview series. This is episode 5. Really excited to be joined by a buddy of mine who was on the roundtable with us earlier, and a person who shares some similarity with me in that we collect multiple sports at the same time, and variety is the spice of life. So, really excited to be joined by Alex, aka Joe Sakic 19 double X. Alex, what's up, dude?
Not a whole lot. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Happy to have you back on here. It's definitely been a little bit
Yeah.
since we've had a chance to chat. But how's the collection coming along as of late?
Recently, I haven't been buying too much, to be completely honest, because this year it's a little. We have a couple big expenses, so I've been definitely
Mhm.
more frugal because you know how it is, especially like you just said you collect multiple sports.
Yeah.
Man, I see so many cards listed on eBay, and I put like all of them on my watch list. I'll have like 200 cards, but then I
Yeah.
realistically, I'm only thinking about bidding on like two of them because maybe last year I would have been like, oh yeah, what's this $30 card, this $40 card?
All
But it
right.
definitely it adds up. I know it's like pretty obvious that that's the case, but like if you're not watching your spending, like it's a little difficult sometimes.
Especially when you're trying to spread that spending out with three different player collections or three sports. I mean, you collect wrestling on a broader scope, and rather than me just going after Justin Jefferson, which probably equals the same amount, probably at times. But
Yeah,
I'm kind of curious too. Anybody that follows you on Instagram knows that you have a nice variety of posts. You got your Bargnanis, which I love that, being a basketball player and coach, and then you've got a lot of amazing wrestling, usually red refractors. That's your
yeah.
specialty,
Thank you.
which I
Yeah.
like. And you've got your Grabowski collection as well. So, like, how do you find yourself now that obviously you have lots of Bargnani
Yeah.
and probably almost every Grabowski card ever been
Yep.
made? How do you manage it nowadays?
So nowadays, I kind of, like I said, I'm like at this exact moment in time, my budget's a little, a little tighter. So
Hmm.
I kind of like have a priority list. It's like
Right.
if it's a Bargnani card on my want list, which again, my want list up until a couple days ago was 13 cards, only 13. One actually popped up, so I'm down to 12 now. There's a card out of
Wow,
three that popped up.
that's awesome.
Um, so for Bargnani, I only collect rookie year stuff, except for like one of ones or like some crazy cool card out of five or something. But yeah, his want list is only 13. Grabowski, his want list is only four cards.
One of them
Uh,
being a card that you should have by now, but you still
oh my
don't.
god, almost like all of them, to be honest. We'll go into
Yeah,
better detail, but
right,
but other than that, I kind of, and that's the thing with like wrestling, I'm not as focused.
right,
So I'll definitely see like a couple different wrestlers, and I'll be like, oh, this is a nice card. We see like because we don't have it in hockey, you'll see like a Prism Gold, which uh, everyone loves Prism Gold. It's like I'm not super
yeah,
super like high on it. It's kind of like the PMGs where it's like everyone
right.
loves it, and I'm like, yeah, I kind of like them, but they're not my favorite cards. But if it's like a cheap Prism Gold of like a wrestler I like, I'm like, okay. And then I have Malkin that I enjoy buying rookie year stuff. So I do have a lot, but
Crosby, a
some
little bit of
oh
Crosby too. I know you got
nope,
some nice ones hidden in there.
Crosby, Ovechkin.
Yeah,
So that's a lot of collections, but I'm just trying to be as picky as possible because there's so much,
right,
right? There's
right.
so much.
Well, I think too. There's something to be said about this too. And then Name, thanks for making it in
Oh,
here.
the
Nice to see you,
legend,
buddy. Yes,
you
he's
name.
here. I can't wait to have him on here. That could be like a 4-hour interview. There's so many things I'd like to ask him. But
He's the
you
best.
know, oh yeah, for sure. And it's fun because, at least as we were talking about before you went live, it's really nice to be able to kind of get some variety of, because you're not going to get everything in hockey with Upper Deck. You're not going to get everything in football or wrestling with Panini. And you're not going to get everything in baseball with Tops or wrestling with Tops. So you really want to be able to have some variety in your collection. That's something I've slowly got to. Obviously, when you were building the Grabowski collection or the Bargnani collection, you're hyper focused on just that. But
Yeah.
at a certain point, you're going to hit a wall of like, all right, I've pretty much got everything I need. How am I going to keep things exciting? And it's got to be a lot of fun, to you kind of get the itch like, it'd be nice to get a wrestling card now, or maybe it'd be nice to get a Bargnani or something like that. I mean, it's. Do you find yourself kind of fluctuating from sport to sport?
Yeah, sometimes I get into grooves where I'm like, oh, I'm all in on this guy, and it's like, oh yeah, not a lot of stuff has popped up, so then I kind of ride that wave.
Yeah.
And honestly, before like 2018 ish, I was like just almost exclusively Bargnani and Grabowski, which I know that sounds funny thinking about it now, but
Yeah.
they were active until like 2020 on the Raptors and the Leafs. They both
Right.
left the same summer, which was crazy for me.
Yeah,
2000.
that would have been a bummer.
Oh, that sucked. Yeah, but they
Yeah.
kind of both their careers kind of just fizzled. They kind of just like you know like
Right.
steam just going away. Um, so like by the time 2017, 2018 hit, man, there was nothing popping up on eBay for me. I would just check it every day. The same garbage. So that's when I kind of started collecting more wrestling. Started picking
Yeah.
up more Malkin. Started picking up some Ovechkin rookies and stuff, and then
Right.
unfortunately, it's kind of just it's like a tree and its roots. It's just gone everywhere. But yeah, up until that time, it was almost exclusively my two-player PCs,
Right.
and that was it. But yeah, and now I
Yeah.
kind of just see what pops up.
Right. We've seen some of the pictures. It's too bad we don't have the picture of the man cave, the boxes of cards, but
Oh man,
it's definitely, I think for anybody watching this that collects players that are not as well known, like Andre Bargnani was the first overall pick, so he had a lot of stuff.
oh
Even on
yeah,
his down years, he kept getting cards and cards, and he was one of the best. And he had some pretty good years, though. I remember in playing fantasy basketball, I'm like, oh, okay, he's,
yeah,
he's doing pretty good this year. He gets you threes, he gets some rebounds, he can, put up some points, and but Grabowski, I remember like dabbling in collecting Alex Burrows, and I put together a nice little collection. And then I was like, okay, there's like one new card a month that pops up. Like
yep,
I have to just move on. But collecting a player, that is a good player, solid player, great player for the team that he's on, it's got to have some challenges that come with it. You know what I mean? It's like for anybody else out there who's thinking of collecting. I mean, I'm trying to name who would you compare Grabowski to nowadays on the Leafs, for instance?
So like recently, it's I kind of collect the same kind of guys. I just
Okay.
love my like just kind of not super great Euros. So like the last couple of years, it's probably like Ilya Mikheyev, who just
Hmm.
went. He's on the Canucks. I don't even know if he's done any. Is he injured or something? I haven't even heard his name in
Yeah, I haven't
forever.
heard about him either. Yeah.
Yeah, what happened to him? But he's kind of that same player where like you just like a actually McCabe is probably worse than Grabowski, but just kind of like a fast like spark plug kind of player that will get you a couple goals here and there, but obviously not like a first liner or anything like that.
Okay. I'm
Kasperi
thinking of
Kapanen,
Brandon Tanev. Brandon Tanev was the first guy that came to mind. Who did you say?
Kasperi Kapanen,
Oh yeah, yeah. He
like
he he just got released by the Penguins or something,
right?
didn't he? Jeez, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, I guess he was on the
Yeah.
Leafs. He was like pretty decent, like third line, second line. And then
Okay.
he went to the Pens, had a little bit of, a little spark, and then it
Yeah.
just fizzled. And now, yeah, he got waived and he's on St. Louis, I think.
Okay.
But
Yeah, I mean, collecting those guys definitely it takes a lot of patience and dedication
yeah,
because those guys, if you open a box of whatever that those guys happen to be in, whether it's a rookie or not, especially if it's not a rookie, you're not going to see those cards listed. You might be after,
no,
a superscript out of 100, but people aren't even going to be like, oh, who the heck's going to be buying this off eBay? They're gonna post the Crosby and the McDavids and all that stuff 100 times, before. So,
yeah, it's not
uh,
even worth listing for a lot of people because they don't know, right?
right.
They don't know there's one idiot who wants to get it.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
right.
he's right.
Yep. Oh, Adam Morrison. Yeah, yeah. Jeez,
Hey,
that
Adam
guy. Yeah.
Morrison was a tops exclusive that year. Like he was one of the spokes guys. So he has
Yeah.
no upper deck autographs. He's all tops.
Wow.
So he
For the
doesn't have
Bobcats, right?
yeah,
Isn't that who drafted him? Yeah.
no exquisite autos. Like yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, I think if I'm just gonna be biased here, knowing that how tough it is, even for a little bit with Burrows, but I'd have to say like Grabowski collection is probably more impressive than most people's Crosby, Ovechkin, McDavid collections.
Yeah,
Not
I'll take
because the
that.
cards are worth more, but because of how much harder it is to find some of the cards that you're looking for. I mean, like we'll get to it in the questionnaire. You'll have your chance to mention the card because I already know which one it is, but I want to give you a chance to talk about it. But I mean, there's some cards that probably took you longer than you would ever think to find. But had it have been, a Marc-Andre Fleury, that
Yeah,
card's showing up on eBay 5-6 times by then. So, like,
100%.
what? How did you stick with it, man? Because I feel like it would get so frustrating not being able to find,
Yeah,
certain cards.
it's tough because so Grabowski, I don't have my list in front of me, which I apologize, but
Yeah,
he only
come on, man.
has aside from like non one of ones, because obviously
Yeah,
that's the whole separate category,
right.
and aside from those like those in the game like vault things that came out,
Mm,
discounting that,
yeah.
he only has like 400 cards or like 300 and some. It's less than 400. It's 300 and something.
Okay.
So it's not like it was that many cards, but it definitely was. And the thing is, I was collecting it as it was happening because
Right.
I know like you with Flurry, like you started not too long ago, right? So you're
Mm-hmm.
playing catch up. You're like, okay, what can I get from 0506 or what can I get from his rookie year with
Mm.
Grabowski? I started collecting him in '08, which is that's a long time ago now.
Crazy to
Uh,
think, huh?
so like every release, I was going and getting the cards, right?
Right.
I was
Right.
overpaying at release. Like I was young and dumb. But
Yeah.
yeah, the challenge. I think the main challenge, honestly, which is kind of funny, because now Grabowski prices are probably all time low, right? Because he's out of the
Right.
league. You know, he was a good player, like not all star. Not he was like a solid NHLer, right? Like not a
Mm-hmm.
superstar, not Hall of Fame, nothing like that. But at the time, obviously, he's he's just like people think, okay, what can this guy achieve? So his prices sometimes after like releases, people wanted, like $50 for his autograph or something. So it sounds like, yeah, it
Yeah.
sounds crazy now looking
Especially for
back.
back then,
Oh
like
yeah,
Flurry was cheaper than that back then, which is crazy.
yeah.
Yeah.
So like his more limited stuff. So I should have said that like his more limited stuff. People, just like everyone nowadays, like a hot rookie, right?
Mm-hmm.
You look at people paying prices for rookies, and then in 5 years they're gonna be like, "Oh my god, like what was I thinking?" But yeah, so that was kind of frustrating because I kind of just loved him, and I knew that he wasn't like an all star, but people
Right.
still, hey, can you sell me this card that I know is worth $5, and they want 40, $50. So it was kind of tough in that sense.
So you're saying the market is not any different nowadays than it was back then? People were still,
Oh yeah, there's still
price
idiots.
gouging and everything. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of interesting people out there. One of my stories that I have for later is just like you know, you'll understand why I think this, because there was someone who
Right.
wanted to sell me a card, and one of the cards I actually bought at a super high price, but it was like one of those people. It's like, hey man, like come on, it's Grabowski, right?
Yeah.
Like you can just look at
Right.
someone to their face and be like, really? Like I
Yeah.
don't know. It's not Marc-Andre Fleury. He's going to be a future Hall of Famer. This
Well,
is
even back then, people weren't sure. You know what I mean? But it's one thing though. I will say on the flip side of that, let's say Grabowski was a rookie now. I
yeah,
mean, and I want to talk about this for a few minutes. Like you've established a really nice connection in a community in yourself within this community on Instagram,
yeah,
where so many of us are interconnected and are looking out for each other. And we got dudes like Kelvin going to the expo looking for stuff for us. I mean, we're so lucky. And Tim, your
yeah.
good friend, who hopefully he knows that we're live because I would love for him to pop in
Oh
and
man,
comment a couple
it's my
times.
dream. He's probably yeah. At this time, he could pop in. Come
Yeah,
on, Tim, get on here.
yeah. But I think had you been doing it nowadays instead of back then, probably would have been a little bit easier, right? Because you got
Yeah,
people looking out for you and checking all the forums and Twitter, and it just seems like while there's more garbage out there, there's also more people out there willing to help you out. And
yeah,
so, I think that seeing what you were able to accomplish back then is still really impressive because you were on all the old forums and all that other crazy stuff, just to try to track down a card, like
yeah.
a blank back or
Oh
a
man.
superscript or something like that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely. That's one of the perks of, yeah, like you said, there's a lot more out there, a lot more opinions. That's it's just the way the world is. But
yeah,
it definitely, and I'm to my fault. I'm kind of more of a secretive person when it comes to collecting, or like more private. So
right,
like, so I'll tell people like, oh, I collect Grabowski if you can help me out, but I won't. Now I will, because I only need 4 cards. Where I'll be like, these are the cards I need. Whereas probably over the years I wasn't as like transparent
right.
on everything that I was trying to get. But yeah, it was definitely a different, like, all these years, and it was forums and eBay, and then there wasn't a
No,
lot of, I guess there were Facebook groups, but it wasn't as a big as it is now.
no, not even close. Yeah.
You definitely
Was
felt like more of a man,
yeah.
like a single man on an island at the time, right?
Oh, geez. Yeah. I was going to say like Yahoo groups and stuff like that. I remember those back in the day.
Yeah,
Holy moly.
some grimy days.
Oh, geez. Yahoo auctions, baby. That's where you got all
Oh
the good
man,
deals.
I never even used Yahoo auctions, to be honest.
Yeah, I think those were done before Grabowski came around. But
Probably.
since we're on the topic, before we hop into Instagram and in general, let's
Hmm.
see if you wouldn't mind. I'd love to see just somebody who's collecting a player that's not a star player. The ability to track down their rare cards, I think, makes
Yeah.
it so much tougher because nobody's thinking to post it. You got a
Yeah.
few of your favorites that you'd like to show everybody?
Yeah, and I'll also say, um, so he obviously is European, so he has
Hmm.
some like Russian cards
Oh, really?
that are harder to find. Like some of them are not too difficult, but yeah,
Hmm.
I have a couple cards that I can talk about.
Yeah, let's see
Um,
'em.
this is probably, yeah. I don't. I'll start with this one, whatever. So this one
Hmm.
here. So this is a Russian card. It's I should know this. I think it's like RHL. And it's nothing like fancy. It's from 2000, and I would assume, man, I have it all on like perfectly on my website.
Which
I,
I appreciate deeply, by the way. Thank you for
yeah,
that.
thank you. This is probably from like '06, I would say, or
Okay.
'05. So this card, so he has a bunch of like Russian cards, like he has like 5 or 6, like official.
Hmm.
There's a lot of bootlegs out there, but this one in particular, I couldn't find. It was like the only one, and I just like, man, I just remember on my want list was all like Upper Deck Panini stuff, and it was just this one Russian card for
Right.
years. And so I made like a bunch of threads on Hobby Insider. I'm like, hey, obviously, like no one's gonna have it on Hobby Insider, but I'm like, I need this card. I think I made like a thread every year. It was like, name your white whale, like, and I always just, I wanted everyone to help each other out, but I wanted my card to
Right.
like be seen. And someone actually messaged me and was like, oh, I think there's someone on this Russian site that has it. Have you ever used Last Sticker?
I've
It's
never
like
heard of it. No.
laststicker.ru, just obviously Russia.
Hmm.
So I'm like, oh man, what am I gonna do here? So I made an account. It's all in Russian. I use like Google Translate. Made an account, found this user from this like old post he made, sent him a message. Again, all Google Translate because I don't speak Russian. I can't read Russian.
All right.
Um, went back and forth on like messaging.
Wow.
Yeah, using only Google Translate. I sent him money, sent him PayPal, and he sent me the card. So yeah, I think this was like, if you held the gun to my head and you said, "How much are you gonna pay for this card to get it?" I would have said I would have paid $100, like easy for
Yeah.
this. Obviously, if you need it, you need it. I think
Right.
it was like $10, 20 bucks, right?
That's awesome. But the story is just as good as the card, if not better.
Yeah, all
That's
Google
awesome.
Translate. I've used Google Translate for like 2 or 3 times now. This is
Okay.
this is the only Russian one, I think, but
Okay.
yeah. So here's
Awesome.
here's another Russian one. Let me take it out of the plastic so it doesn't reflect here. Again, this is just another. I don't even know who makes these. I should know. It's on my want list if anyone wants to see it. But it's just another one. This was actually called like a Road to the NHL or something, and it,
Hmm.
it has the Canadians logo. So it's obviously after you got drafted. I think this is '08. Um, and again, these are licensed, but it's like kind of licensed. I don't know. But I
Yeah.
definitely I had it on my want list, and so this is part of a set of I think like 6 or 12 cards, and Malkin's actually in it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and then there was a seller on Sports Card Forum,
Oh, yes.
SCF or whatever it's called,
Yep. Hmm.
which I haven't used a lot. Actually, I haven't used it in years. I should probably check it out. This guy had the entire set, and he wanted to sell to me for like $150. I'm like, come on, man, just sell me the Grabowski. Like just
Right.
tell me, I'll pay you like $50 for it. And so he would not break up the set. Wouldn't come down in price. So I ended up trading him like I don't know, just a bunch of cards, and I ended up getting it. I got the whole set. I have the Malkin, I have the Grabowski, and then the other ones, I have no clue where they are. I think I might have. Where did I put them? I must have them somewhere. But
Hopefully you can find them, because one day somebody's going to come along and say, "Hey, do you got this one player from this one
yeah,
set? I'm a
oh yeah,
super collector of this guy."
it's like Grabowski, Malkin, which I know Grabowski's alone not a household name, but 2 NHLers, and then the rest is just like the who's who of who knows what.
Right. Guys that didn't even get drafted type deal.
Yeah,
Hey, Kate, would you mind real quick before you show the next one? I mean, I didn't ask this question because we've had you on here, or we've been on the same show, and you've kind of talked about this. But
yeah,
can you give us the $5 answer to why you collect him?
hundred
What
percent.
was it that made you decide to do it?
I was thinking about this answer last night, and I thought of you. You know
Oh,
how
nice.
you love obviously you love Fleury, you love goalies, but
Hmm.
I hear you talk about so many times you love the setup. You love like which gear they're using, right? Like
Oh, yeah.
you always talk about this card. I love this card because of the gear that he's wearing or this
Oh, 09-10
mask,
mask. Yep. Or the
right?
08-09 mask. Yep.
So I kind of was thinking about this answer last night, and I was like, what made me like Grabowski? Aside from he's just like a quick little like Euro player.
Mhm.
But so growing up, I loved I almost said Mikhail Grabowski. I
Yeah.
love Sergei Berzin, who I don't know if a lot of people know
Ooh,
who that is.
see if I can find him here.
Yeah, Sergei, and then Berezin.
Yeah.
So former Leaf from like 90, rookie year was like 95 or 96. He had the visor.
Ooh.
He had the hair coming from under the helmet. He had the jersey tucked, like full tuck. And I'm like, man, this guy looks like a freaking badass. Like this guy's
Yeah.
sick. Just flying down the wing. Like this guy is awesome. And so, yeah, that's my guy right there. The big
Yeah.
jersey number. I love big jersey numbers, like 94. Grabowski's 84. I love
Okay.
those. Malkin 71. Like I don't. It's so stupid.
Uh,
It's just like something in my brain. I'm attracted to the high jersey numbers.
yeah. Yeah.
So when Grabowski came to the Leafs, I'm like, man, this guy looks cool. He has the visor, the jersey tuck,
Yeah.
like he's quick little Euro guy, and he was small, but he'd fight. Like obviously not physically fight, but
Right.
he was tenacious. So once I saw him in like 2008, he came to the Leafs. I'm like, this is my guy. And I actually remember,
Okay.
which thinking back is like really bizarre. So he came to the Leafs 0809. And I had a Grabowski jersey for Christmas in 08. So he was only on the team for like 3 months, and like my sister gave me a Grabowski jersey for Christmas that year. Like only 3 years, like that never happens unless it's like like a big rookie or something. Like who's gonna buy a jersey of like a random player 3 months into his Leaf career? So that's my guy
Right.
right there.
And there he is.
That
All
image
right.
is on one of his scorecards, actually. That same image.
Shout out to Panini for bringing back Pinnacle and Score. Thank you for
Yeah,
that.
there we go. But yeah, that's why I
Awesome.
collected him. I just
Okay.
something about him. I was like, I like this dude. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, cool. Well, thanks for that. I mean, I can definitely appreciate that, man. And that's honestly, being a super collector of a player, you have to find reasons to like every card. I
Yeah,
know Fleury's got more cards than Grabowski, but
yeah,
still, you have to find something about every base card, even because if you're going to collect that way, you can't just be like checking off the list and moving on with life. It's like, I love going through the binder and thinking, like I have them actually all like sorted by gear. So like
Oh, that's amazing.
his rookie cards obviously by mask, but he wore a certain mask every year.
Yep.
And I have them all sorted, and then I have like the Winter Classic jersey with the Winter Classic mask. Like I just have them all that way because I enjoy looking at the different setups. So yeah, I've always been a visor guy. I think Bure was
Yep.
the first guy I think of with the visor, and then Ovechkin with the yellow strings on his skates.
Right?
So
It's just like that little bit of flash. It's like, man.
yeah,
Remember
yeah,
when they took out they implemented that rule where you can't tuck in your jersey? That was like a couple of years ago. But I think they kind of got rid of it. And all these players
yeah.
had to like, all the guys I loved with their tucked jerseys had to like wear it properly. But
Yeah, yeah. Hey,
yeah.
welcome. Thanks for saying hello. Yeah,
Likewise.
that's it was like, I'm thinking of Formula One, honestly, because
Hmm.
sad Sebastian Vettel is retired for now. I hope he comes back. But I remember, the year that they let them really go crazy with their helmets. I want to say it was 2019 or 2020. And you got Lando, especially Lando Norris, man. He goes crazy. You got the Halo helmet, and like just bringing the style to professional sports. You look at the NBA, and they can wear all these different sleeves and
Right?
headbands, and I back in Allen Iverson days, that's where it kind of
Oh
started.
yeah.
They brought the swag to the league, and I like that. I like seeing goalies and with their masks. It's always been something that they've been able to do, but why not let the skaters do the same thing?
Right?
In a way. So yeah, and just like football, with the visors. So yeah, I get it. Awesome. Awesome. All right, let's see a couple more cards here, man.
Couple
I
more.
wasn't expecting to see those, so this has already been surprising for me.
Yes, some Russian ones. Here's
Yeah.
one. This is a quick story. This is kind of like you know when you have a car that gets listed on eBay and it's like shortly after release and you're like, okay, in your head, you kind of, okay, this is maybe like a $75 car, $100 car, gets listed
Yeah.
on eBay and it's like $300-$400 and
Yeah.
you're like, come on,
Yeah.
man. But you get it, right? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
if you're breaking the product and you're a seller and you get a nice card, you're like, okay, I'm gonna put it high, so I'll get offers, whatever. So this is from I think 11/12. It's so funny because like I'm so organized on my like website and just like
Yep.
mentally I'm so organized of like the years. But then if you ask me like, hey, what year is this card for Grabowski at least? I
Yeah.
From like 2010 to 2016, it's all just one thing in my head,
Right. So much panini, like all mixed in there. I still
right?
make the mistake. Don't worry. I've been rebuilding mine, using Weebly this time. And
Yeah,
I'll be like, oh yeah, that goes in 11, 12 Pinnacle. And I'm looking at them like, wait, no, it's not.
yeah. You gotta check,
Like,
COM
yeah.
C just for like an
Yep. That's
example.
exactly what I did. That's
Yeah.
exactly what I did. Yep.
So I'm pretty sure this card is 11/12 or it could be 12/13. So I apologize,
All right.
but it's I don't know. I'm getting this glare today, but it's a
That
starting
looks pretty good.
six. These are six patches, and it's Grabowski, Kessel, Phaneuf, Kuhlman, Shen, and Reimer, who
Welcome back,
was
Shan. Woo!
welcome back.
Yeah.
This card is numbered out of 10, so 9 of 10. You can see right there.
Hmm.
There's the jersey version that I think is out of 25, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So yeah, I still like remember exactly where I was too. I was going to my buddy's house. He lived beside the ACC, and I'm sending this seller like messages on eBay. So he has it up for like probably 199, which I don't know. Like that's a lot of money for these players, right?
Right.
Um, but it's like, but it wasn't like fresh after the release. This was like probably a couple weeks, like a month. So I'm like kind of itching, right? I'm like, is one gonna pop up here? So this one pops up. He wants like $200. Send him a message. Hey, like, let's do something here. So I think I ended up getting to like 125, and I'm like, I'll give you $125 for this card. Which like, if you look at it now, like if this card went on open auction on eBay, what does it sell for? Like $20-$30 maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, because Fanuff's in there and there's the Leafs. There's Leafs
Yeah,
fans. Yeah.
like maybe. So he was like, "Nah, man, like I'm not selling this for that low." Same day, I went to my buddy's house. I'm at my buddy's house. looking at my eBay searches, and one pops up for like, I think it was like buy it now, like 75 or $70 or something like that. Bam, hit that buy it now. I think I messaged the seller. Like I wasn't a dick, but I was like, "Hey man, don't need the card. One popped up. I just bought it. Thanks." I just had to let him know. But yeah, it's happened a couple of
Yeah,
times over the years, but that's the one. Like I remember where I was. I remember like every little detail of that, except for the price. But I remember all the other details. And just it felt so good, just kind of to
yeah.
stick it to the seller.
I
But
think we've all kind of experienced that. Any of us that are collecting, cards upon release, I think we have a price in mind prior
mhm,
to a card coming out. We also we're willing to kind of,
yeah,
go. And I can think of one. I don't want to mention it because I don't want to jinx myself because I know eventually I got to get one. But
do it.
every time that it's come up, it's gone for so much. And I'm like, man, the last version I paid was so much less. Like, what is going on here? But also being patient, and it sounded like, for you, obviously, you got real lucky, being able to get it the same day as opposed to having to
Same
wait
day.
for a while.
And it's tough because again, like I said, I was getting everything as it was coming out, and I know you're doing that with like current stuff. You're kind of, you're waiting, try to get it for a good price. But if it's something you really want and there's only like 5, 10, you're like, ooh, is another one gonna pop up anytime soon? Because we know how this goes, right? Like all 10 will pop up in like 5 years, or one will pop up. Like it's you never
Right.
know. So like with this one in particular, I was already like the completionist where I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm already tracking, like I need 100%. So I needed this like in my head. I'm like, I needed this card. So
Right.
when that one seller wasn't like, I probably would have paid like whatever price if it dragged on another couple of weeks or whatever. But yeah, I got lucky.
Yeah.
I got
Well,
lucky.
especially those cards out of 10. I thinking about Metal Universe and a PMG or a
Hmm.
high gloss from Upper Deck. I mean, those,
It's
it's
tough.
weird because with Flurry now I see you're welcome for this. I see a flurry of his high glosses hit the eBay upon the first 2 weeks. You'll see
Yeah.
two or three of them, boom, all of a sudden. Of course, nowadays you see hardly any from previous years. So you have to be ready to jump on it, but at the
Yeah.
same time, you also don't want to compromise yourself and pay, $150 for a high gloss as opposed to, the 70 to 90 that you'll pay. So
Yeah.
it definitely, and then if you're patient enough, you can get one for 50 or less. And then
True.
for your guy, I don't know how many high glosses you have, but
Probably was like
20, 30
five,
bucks,
5 or 6
five.
of them.
So it really is tricky to find the sweet spot for some of those because certain cards you are going to have to overpay for,
Yeah.
but then sometimes it always balances out. I've said that on this channel so many
100%.
times. Everybody that's watching right now, I think you can all agree, like it balances out. You overpay for a card, you go, geez,
Yep.
that was probably 25% too much. But then like a month later, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe what I just found on eBay. Somebody labeled it wrong or bad picture, and then you scoop it up and you're like, yes. So
Yeah.
I'm sure you've had that a lot
Oh
throughout
yeah.
collecting
If
all
you're
three of
if
these
you're
sports.
diligent, like you are, like you wait and you do research,
Yeah.
I know you look at ComC, eBay, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's crazy. Like you don't even think about it, but like that's already like 6 places, right? Without even
And you're
thinking.
putting it all away. Yeah.
Um, so if you're like that and you're not the just, oh, I'm gonna go on eBay and get the first one that I see.
Yeah.
And I think we kind of collect on a budget. Like obviously we don't have unlimited funds, which
Wouldn't be as much fun then.
it wouldn't, but it would be fun
It
to
would be
to,
nice.
to
Yeah.
buy the
Just
stuff.
click, ruin the
So
market for everybody.
right, some people do that. Um, so if you are like patient and you do your research, yeah,
Right.
sometimes you overpay. I do it
Right.
all the time, but I do get a lot of steals, right? So
Carlos, good to see you, man. It's been a while. Nice to have you on here. Yeah, I mean
good guy.
he's he's got a good point though. But I think there's always, and Carlos, I think you can agree with this, and Alex, you too. I mean, there's certain cards. There's a select few,
Yeah,
especially if one of your big want list cards comes up. You're going all in. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
100%.
And you figure it out later, or you're like, all right, what do I have I can sell? Like I had that happen just recently. I don't want to spoil it, but I was like, okay, I've got some doubles.
Hmm.
Somebody popped up that's interested. Perfect timing. Hey, do you want this other card I'm thinking of moving? Yep, great. Now I've just paid for the card I wanted. So we're very good about that. Us
Yeah.
collectors, we're very good at finding a way to make it work for like those,
Hmm.
top tier cards. So
Like
yeah,
there's a card, the Bargnani card that I was mentioning that I got from my want list from 0607, his rookie year.
right.
Hadn't seen one. Like I can't say I've never seen one, but since I've been like looking diligently, which is, man, it's like 10 years that I'm like on
Yeah,
eBay all the time. I'm sure I've missed some stuff, no one's perfect,
right.
but I had never seen one. And then it popped up, and I'm not gonna lie, I messaged the seller. So um, it was he listed it 7-day auction, starting price $9.99, like $9.99. And I messaged him and I was like, hey man, do you have like a price in mind for? And he's probably like, this guy's messaging me about a Bargnani card. Like, are you psycho?
Yeah.
But I was honestly, if he said, yeah, give me $100, I would have been like, where do I send the PayPal to, right? So
Yeah.
he never got back to me. He didn't even message me back. I was the only bidder. I wanted for $10, and
Nice.
my max bid. I'm not even gonna tell you what my max bid was,
All
but it
right.
was much higher than my 100 that I was willing to pay. So,
Right. Well, you had to make sure. You had to make
oh
sure.
man, right?
Yeah.
There's only 13
Um,
cards left. Like I need to get that. So, and I did.
Al makes a good point here too. I mean, to an extent, like paying, for instance, like Al's not going to pay $1,000 for a clear cut acetate future watch of,
No,
Jerome, but he's, within an extent. Yeah, you're right. And eventually pay more later, or pay what you have to now. I mean, it's funny you mentioned that too, because Greg, who comes on the Essential Credential podcast, big Tim Salmon collector,
hmm,
I think similarly, maybe a little bit more popular than Bargnani or
hundred
Grabowski.
percent. Yeah, 100%.
But when that Red Crusade came up, I mean, never been so nervous for a friend bidding on a card. He put $1,000 max bid and he won it for like $300. But he's like,
Yeah,
I am not going to be denied. Like it's gonna happen. And only once have I done that and still lost. I'll never forget it.
man.
So we've been there,
Yeah,
but
I've been there
yeah,
too. Even I've been there with Grabowski, which is
really.
great. When he went to the Capitals in 13-14, so he
Hmm.
went to the Capitals. Nobody knows this because I don't think anyone cares.
I
His
didn't know.
first,
Sorry.
yeah, no, and this detail nobody knows. His first year on the Capitals, sorry, his first game, road game, season opener against the Blackhawks, scored a hat trick. Yeah, Grabowski scored a hat trick
Dang.
in Chicago. Yeah,
Wow.
like a couple ugly goals, like one bounced off him and whatever.
Hey, you
Um,
know what though? I mean, those add up throughout an entire year, right? So go for it.
all of his prices. I'm not saying they went to freaking Ovechkin prices, but they definitely, like, if this is his steady, they definitely did this. And then when he left, they kind of went down. I don't know if it's like the Washington effect or like playing with
Right.
Ovi, because he had a couple. He played with Ovi for a bit. He was on the first power play for a little bit, and then he didn't do
Dang, dude.
anything. Yeah, he
All
came
right.
in.
Well, how did that translate to cards of him though? Like, because if Upper Deck is making cards, I'm guessing like Series 2, he probably got a card
Yeah.
in there, and but did he get some other cards that he normally doesn't get from that hot start that he had?
So he did get actually one of the cards that I'm going to show off. I have two cards left. I'll show you
Go
them.
for it. Yeah.
Actually,
Go for it.
I have three. Okay, I'll show you the one that pertains to this conversation. So
Go
he
for it.
made
Yeah.
it into I'll show you right now. A little select.
Oh yeah, that's oh wow.
This is the one of one, the black. What is this, black finnet or whatever?
Yeah.
This is yeah. So this is a
Dang.
really nice card. I think this one, where's Leaf one? One of them is from the rookie anthology or whatever. They had like that
Yeah.
update, which I think this
Yep.
card is from. But yeah, when he went to the Capitals, I wouldn't say they made more cards of him because he had like 2 good years on the Leafs, a couple years
Hmm.
prior to that. So he
Right.
was in like Panini Prime. He was in Dominion. He was in
Oh,
like,
sick.
yeah,
That's awesome.
he has a Prism cards. I have the one of one, which I probably should have brought down,
Yep.
but
I was gonna say if you have it there, let's see it. But I mean,
I know.
I
I'm
don't doubt
sorry.
it. That's awesome, man. Well,
Just
especially
run
Dominion.
upstairs.
Yeah, no, just take off.
Yeah,
Like,
Dominion. He had a patch auto. And then he had Dominion on the Capitals as well, and he had like a quad auto. So he was in those
Nice.
sets. Like he has oh shoot, what set was it? There was another set. It wasn't just straight up score. It was one that they had like Octo, or was it Contenders? It might have been Contenders. They had like
Yeah,
Octo autographs. So
like
he's
front
on that.
back type deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
he's on there with Ovechkin. I think like Grubauer or whoever the goalie was at the time. Halak. I
Yeah.
don't even remember.
Well, it
But
might have been. Yeah, yeah. Back in those. Yeah, yeah. You're right. Yep.
yeah. So he's on
Interesting.
a autograph card with Ovechkin, which is
Okay.
which is pretty
And you
funny.
have this card.
I do. Yeah, I do.
Nice. Sick.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. I mean, but that's that's what all of us, anybody that collects like a mid-level player, let's call it that, right? He was
Yeah.
probably a mid-level player, made power play
100%.
one. I mean, he was a good goal scorer, exciting player. Watch a mid-level player. You only even one good year can get you into like 3 years of sets. I mean, I
Yep.
go to basketball. You know who I like on the Miami Heat? He doesn't play anymore, sadly, really. But Duncan Robinson, he was incredible in
Yeah.
when they were in the bubble. He was incredible. He was part of the reason they made it to the finals and took the Lakers to 6 games. But he, from that point on, he got into Prism for like 3 years. And obviously, he's
Yeah.
not in it anymore. But one good year can get a mid-level player into a lot of sets. And
100%.
as a Glass Now collector, I'm just sitting here like, okay, get healthy and just dominate this year, because then you'll be in stuff. Not just the regular Series 1 and all the Prism, but like in everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, that definitely is the dream.
And that's the funny thing with I don't know if this was one of your later questions or maybe we kind of already went over it, but
No, go for it.
um that's the one funny thing with him is, so as you mentioned before, Bargnani first overall pick. He was in every set, right?
Right, of course.
Exquisite, like, he had his everything, right?
All
The
right.
plates, the 1 of 1, whatever, SP Authentic, Ultimate, all the top sets, like literally every set he was in.
All right.
Grabowski, I think because he was like a later rookie, and it's not like now. Because now, if there's someone who comes in late, they have like the update, like they have extended, and they have like the update Young
Right.
Guns or all these updates. Grabowski has no Young Gun. He has no cards from the Cup.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah,
That
nothing.
is crazy.
Sorry, he has plates from the Cup, but like they put in
Well,
plates from all the other
others.
sets.
Yeah, right.
So he has no Cup cards, no.
Dang.
Yeah,
I'm,
which
I'm like surprised he doesn't have the cup cards too, because I've seen like there's some rookies that have them and that or especially the goalies. That goalies are different, right? Even if they're late round, they're going to get them in there. So, but
yeah.
that's still a bummer, man.
Yeah, I guess
Wow.
he's 0607 rookie. So he had like the Malkin year. So he had Beehive.
Yeah.
He had Beehive, SP Authentic. He had Ultimate Collection, which is
All
just like
right.
just the base card, like out of
Yeah.
599 or whatever.
Yeah.
Artifacts. I don't know if I mentioned that one, and like that's pretty much it.
Wow. Interesting. Well, I guess and I want to. This is on here, and I'm very curious. Let's just compare Bargnani and Grabowski here, real
Yeah,
quick. You talk about one guy has everything as a rookie, one guy has very
everything.
little. So, which is more rewarding, though, getting a rare Bargnani or getting a rare rookie of Grabowski? You know what I mean? Like, which one gets
Hmm.
your juices flowing? Like really excited to get it in the mail. Like, I know which
Well,
one I would say, but
I
curious.
think I think just because maybe like this exact current day,
Yeah.
because I only need I mentioned Grabowski only has like 300 and something cards.
Mm-hmm.
Bargnani's rookie year, so I
It's got to be like 800 or 900 or something insane, right?
actually it's a little bit less. It's
Okay,
like 400. It's also like 400, which is crazy because
for
nowadays
one year.
but nowadays, like, what's a rookie now? Like
Oh,
like thousands, right?
yeah, it's got to be because you think about every parallel and every Panini set they do, and then they do in baseball they do even more sets now. So yeah, I think
Yeah.
1,000. Like you look at Julio Rodriguez or
Oh my
John
god.
Morant's rookie year,
Yeah.
or yeah, or even now like when Bernard comes out. Oh my gosh, he'll be in everything.
Right.
So
So
yeah.
Bargnani, he has like 400, and that's non one of ones because he has another like I love it.
Love it.
Because he has plates and all that, all 101s. But yeah, it's about
Yeah.
400 cards as well.
Right.
But that's like every parallel. Like, I'm not chinsing out on this. It's every single parallel, like, out of 3, out of 5, whatever. So Nowadays, just because I need like 10, basically I need 12, but
Hmm.
close to 10. I feel like those are more rewarding, just because
Right.
everything on my want list is pretty much out of 5 or 3,
Hmm.
which they never pop up. And the
Right.
thing is, like, if Grabowski had a young gun, or like he doesn't need both, a young gun or a cup card, like a cup
Hmm.
rookie. If I would like hoard the hell out of one of them, like I would get all of his exclusives. I would try to go for all 10 high gloss, like you know what I mean,
Yeah.
from his rookie year. But he doesn't have that, so his like lowest parallel rookie is out of 100. So
Which one
like
is that too? Is that
so he has the
Hot
B
Prospects maybe?
uh so
Can't remember
does
who's
he
in
have
that.
yeah, he has a hot prospects, but he doesn't have any parallels.
Okay.
Um
Jeez. Okay.
yeah. So his two are the SP Authentic Limited. So like
Oh
the one
yeah.
the one out of
Oh yeah.
100.
Uh
Because
huh.
he doesn't even have a future watch. He just has like this the shitty base one, like out of 9.99
Hmm. Yeah. Didn't even know.
or
Yeah.
19.99 or whatever it is. But the limited
Right.
one is out of 100. And then in
Okay.
Beehive, he has like the Beehive matte, like the yellow.
Oh yeah. Hmm.
So that one's out of 100 too. So
Okay.
like rookie year wise, there's not much to chase. But if he had anything from the cup, like even a cup rookie, I'd get like all of the 249s. Like, right? You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah. And we've had that chat too. Remember in our pet peeve episode, which I think is one of our most watched episodes that we did at a roundtable back then.
Yeah.
I'm on the fence of like, hey, dude, there's like 10 cards here. Like, for instance, if somebody was hoarding all the high gloss of
Hmm.
Flurry that come out in series two, I'd be like, dude, I just want one, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh no, I got all 10. Like, there's definitely an appreciation for both sides, and I totally get it. And I think that kind of goes back to what we said about when those cards pop up, you could be competing with a person like that. Like I want a Tyler Glass now, red refractor. I know you'll
Hmm.
appreciate this.
I love
Out
red.
of 5 from Finest Flashbacks, which
Whew.
one of the coolest releases they do every year. And I'm like, I did what we talked about. I put in a $90 high bid. I'm like, nobody's getting close to that, but I can't lose it because I
Hmm.
lost the last one.
100%.
$75. And I'm sitting there like, what the heck? Like, did the person who won the first one say, you know what? I think I'm going to get all 5. Like it's just
It's
silly, but you never know,
it's
right?
crazy because like for wrestling, obviously I collect. There's a lot of these finest reds from
Yeah,
2020,
right.
and it's tough because like some of them, like say it's a very particular wrestler, I know, hey, this guy probably has one, this other guy has another, and then maybe this other guy has a third one, and I'm just like, man, that means there's only like two left, and you know what I mean? Like, where are the
Yeah.
odds all five surface, right?
Yep.
So yeah, that's
Yep.
2020 finest. They pretty much use the same design in all the sports. They used it in baseball. They used it in soccer.
Right.
That might be it
Well,
actually.
they probably just print it all at the same time, right? I would think.
Yeah,
But it is fun to kind of go through and see the different variety. You got some supers here, and
yeah. There we go. That's the same year the supers and like
yeah.
I do I collect that wrestler? No, but I'm like I love the set, right?
Are
I
these on card as well? They are,
on
aren't they?
card. No, the only
That's
stickers
beautiful.
are
Yeah.
the dual autos,
Okay.
and there's only
Gotcha.
like 10, maybe 10 different guys. But yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. These are all on
Awesome.
card. Yeah, that's like that same subset. Sorry, same product.
Yeah.
Just that's in
Okay.
the inserts. Yeah,
Okay, nice.
but
It's
yeah,
nice. It's just nice to see. I mean, again, kind of going back to the very beginning. The variety is the spice of life, and
there's a
going
lot
through
of
your
variety in there.
yeah, there is. But I mean, it keeps everything fresh. You know what I mean? Like it really keeps the collection fresh. I feel like I don't know if you do this, but if you are feeling like looking through your collection or even the website, I've
Hmm.
talked about this a lot. That's why I like having a website
I
because it's a
love the
way of looking
website.
through it. You can like, hey, you know what? I think I want to look at all my Bargnanis today, and then let's look at some of the wrestling cards I have. Like there's you're not going to get bored looking at the same thing over and over again.
No.
I think Name can attest to this. You know, looking at all the different players he collects. I mean, he could go any direction and start grabbing more cards of these guys. So it definitely within the same vein is got to feel like that, right? Where you don't really find yourself getting burnt out.
Yeah.
Yeah, as
Oh
well.
yeah. Or
Yeah,
weird
I mean,
cats.
that's right. Question from Al.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
far back.
in the 70s. That's interesting.
I know there's like Parkhurst from the 50s.
Really?
There is. I think.
Wrestling cards?
Oh yeah.
Jeez.
I think there's some earlier stuff too. But honestly, like there. So, oh man, the wrestling card community is interesting. It's a very. You know how like people debate modern versus vintage. There's like obviously there's people in the middle who don't give a crap. Like they'll collect both, but there's definitely like some people who only collect vintage, only collect modern, and they just freaking battle it out all the time. Um, but I know a lot of that stuff is from like I don't know what that sound was, but from like the 80s. There's like some big sets in the 80s and some stuff in the 70s from like Japan. But I'm not sure how much is out there before that. But there's a couple of websites you can check out. Like I know there's WrestlingTradingCards.com has like all the sets from like that have ever been created. WrestlingPriceGuide.com also has it's just like a price guide, but it has all the sets from way back when. So I don't think they're like too popular like those sets because I think there's some stuff from the 40s too. So wrestling's been around for a long time,
That's nuts.
um, but
That's nuts, man.
I don't think too many people collect it. But there's definitely stuff out there that I don't collect vintage. Not because I dislike it. I just don't have much. But there's definitely some stuff out there, and I know for sure there's Parkhurst from the 50s, and the most popular vintage is definitely from the 80s. There's like a bunch of sets that people love. So
It's not really cool. There's a website that has it all on there too.
yeah,
And this name brings up a great point. Yep, focus on Ricky your stuff. I have to apologize to my landlord's dogs. Anything, I mean, I'm the safest human being on earth. Any creature, any human that walks within like a quarter mile, they do that. So
yeah, that's good for safety. You
I
never
mean,
know.
especially with all the brown bears here, man, you never know how it's
Yeah,
gonna
that's
go.
scary. That's scary stuff.
Yeah. Let's do one more question then, and then we'll get to the rapid fire at the end. My questionnaire that I've come
Could
up with, which I'm
can I
sure
show
you're
off
ready
two
for.
more cards and I'll keep it
Yeah,
super brief?
go for
Super
it.
brief.
Absolutely. Yep.
This one doesn't have much of a story, but this is probably top top five favorite cards of my Grabowski collection.
Oh, we got to see it then.
It's from man, I hate this glare from Black Diamond. It's I showed this off on my Instagram the other day. It's the one of one.
So beautiful.
Man, I hate that it's not showing up that well.
Do you want me to pull up the picture for you?
Uh, shoot, I put on my story so it won't be like
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Although look at the serial number, how it's like it's kind of just floating.
It's just in
Not
a random
it's not.
spot. Yeah.
That's brutal, the centering of it, but
Yeah, but it's the one. Who cares, man?
yeah, I know, right? People like, oh, this it was off center. Like, who gives a crap? It's a 1-of-1, right?
Yeah, no, I don't look at the back of the cards anyway, so yeah,
True.
not often.
And then
Yep,
the
I
only
agree. I
oh, thank
agree.
you. Funny little story with that one. There's a post office beside my house. So this is when I was still living at my parents' house. This is 0809, I think.
Okay.
So, I was still a young buck at the time. And I had to go pick this up at the post office, and I actually had not far walk. I'm not saying it's the furthest walk of all time, but I walked like 35 minutes to go get it. 35 minutes, and then I must have known at the time. I don't remember all the details, but I had to pay duties on that. I had to pay like $30, and I was like, "Come on!" So I like walk all the way there. I had to pay like customs $30. I'm walking home all pissed, and then but then I look at the card. I'm like, "Ah, this is beautiful, and I love it."
Right.
Yeah.
Well, hey, you know what? I mean, to that comment, a card comes right to mind. Any of you baseball collectors out there, 1999 Mystique Established. If you've ever seen that card, look at the back of that card. It is better than the front. It is one of the most beautiful card backs ever. So there's a time and a place for sure. You got one more beautiful
One more,
top.
I
Let's see
promise.
it, dude. Let's see it.
So this is a decent story. So this is probably my second or third, or no, first or second expo that I ever went to. So I've been to
Okay.
like maybe like 5 or 6 or 7.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm there, and I don't know how much you follow in the game products.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm working my way there. I have a little sprinkle of them every year. Yeah.
So I'm not the biggest in the game fan, like especially talking about it now, thinking back. But at the time, this was like 08, 09, and they released a product called Superlative Franchise, which was all Leafs, which is straight up Leafs only. But
That's
obviously
awesome.
they didn't have a license, so the airbrush jerseys and whatnot. But they had
Yeah.
Grabowski, which I'm like, oh my god, like
He made the set.
he made the set. He's in like all these subsets, all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I go to the expo and I'm like literally, hey, do you have Grabowski? Everyone's like, who? Do you have Grabowski? Who?
Yeah.
Like,
I can imagine. Oh yeah.
'cause this is like third year, right, in the league, and like
Yeah.
people don't care. Um,
Right.
so I'm literally like at a table, just like chatting with someone, and I
Yeah.
hear like I'm not. This is not a lie. I hear in my peripheral like something something Grabowski 1 of 1, and I was like, what? My sister's with me, and I'm like, just hear Grabowski. So I turn around. I'm like, what are you guys talking about? Someone's like, oh, I just pulled a Grabowski 1 of 1 from Superlative Franchise or
No
whatever.
way, dude.
And I'm like, oh shit, or sorry, oh shoot.
No, it's okay. Go for it.
And then so I like talk to the seller or whatever. End up going to his table. Ends up he's like one of these people who like breaks a lot of product. And I ended up seeing him like at every expo after, and I realized he wasn't the most personable seller. I don't remember his name, but I'm sure if you're someone who goes to the expo, he was there at like all these years. He always had like tables of in the game stuff, everything high priced. So here's the card, and I'll tell you. So this is the complete jersey. I think it's what was called that year. Yeah, complete jersey. So it has the fight strap, has the
Love
emblem
those.
number. So this is the gold 1 of 1. And again, like looking back, if this hits eBay right now, this is $50 card or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but at the time, I'm like, oh my god, 1 of 1, my guy. Like, so I'm like, how much do you want for it? And he was like, shoot, it was like 250 or something.
Oh my gosh. I was gonna guess 150 or 100.
Yeah, 250. And
Jeez.
I'm just like, are you kidding me? Like, and then again, I'm a young collector, so I was still in my teens at the time. I don't know. Yeah. So I was like, oh, I kind of need it. I need it. I didn't even bring that much to the like. I brought like $500 to the expo. And I'm like, oh my god, I can't afford it. I ended up like taking out money. I bought it. I don't know if I paid the full 250, if I paid like 200 or whatever, like complete overpayment. But I was worried.
Yeah.
I was like, what if like I don't see this card again, right?
Right. You probably wouldn't, or you wouldn't. Maybe you do, or some
Yeah.
guy buys it and it gets stuck in a box. You'd oversee it. Yeah.
Yeah, I must have been like 18 or 19 at the time. So I'm still like young,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, like young and dumb, right? So I bought it. But all these years later, I just remember like this guy, like I was visibly like a teenager, and this guy was like couldn't give me a break, like for Grabowski. Come on, man. So I never like gave that those guys any more money like all these years later.
You still
And
see them, huh?
I don't think they were at the last one, or maybe they just
Okay.
changed it up or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I kind of hated those guys for a while.
I mean, because I at the beginning of that story, I was like, "Oh man, that's awesome." I mean, I think most of us that are here right now, if there was a young kid who collected like we talked about, a player that's similar to him now, and somebody pulled the 101, and we knew we were selling it, you'd want to do what you could to get
Right?
them that card because if that's their favorite player, and yeah, anyway, everybody
No,
has their own way
those
of
guys
doing
were
it.
definitely they were pretty money hungry, and it was obvious. I should just waited because it would have gone to eBay and I would have bought it for like cheaper or whatever. But
Yeah. Well, but I mean, you got a great card. You were there when it was pulled. I mean, like the
yeah, it was
odd, you could have
crazy.
been anywhere in the whole on the whole floor, and you
What
were
are the
there.
odds? What are the
Yeah, it
odds?
was. I mean, it was meant to be in a way. So
Right?
hopefully you don't not look at it because you're like every time you pull it out, you're like, oh gosh. Like I have one card, and I told you guys about it. That's tainted in my mind
Yeah.
because the guy I bought it from eventually scammed me later. But every time I pull the
Brutal.
card out, I'm like, I need to get a replacement and then sell this copy. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But you can't do that with that one, unfortunately.
Hey, I've been so it's funny. You just said you bought a card, you're happy with it, and then the guy scammed you.
Yeah.
I've been he tried to scam. There's a guy who tried to scam. No, hold on. I bought a card, then he tried to scam me for a second deal, and then I got my money back from PayPal. Then years later, I made another deal with him because I needed the cards.
Oh, that's right. There was the one-on-ones, right? All the
Yeah,
one-on-one plates or something. Yeah.
yeah. So it's funny how like the
Geez.
hobby works. It's
Yeah. Well,
pretty
I mean,
interesting.
let's end with this question, and we'll get to the rapid fire.
Yeah, no worries.
Like, how has your experience on Instagram been? Like, what do you love about it? What do you look forward to when you get on Instagram on the app every day? Like, kind of summarize your experience with it currently.
I like that Instagram is just super easy because I remember like in the forums to post a picture, you had to put it to like photo bucket. Then you had to put the
That's
link,
right. That's
right?
right. Oh yeah. Yep.
Where now I can just, pop my card on, put even easier, just take a picture, put on the story. You don't need any description, nothing. I just like that you can see everything. You can easily find someone, message them like 2 seconds. They're a lot
Yeah.
quicker than hobby, on the forums. Like, you're waiting like all day for them to message you. I just, I just
Yeah, it
like
does
that,
seem like that.
right?
Yeah.
I just like that it's just so much easier to engage with the community.
Hmm.
It's just so much easier. Like, you got everything at your fingertips, right?
Yeah.
Some stuff's a little tough. Like, oh, I'm trying to find the specific card this guy posted. You got to scroll forever. But generally, like, it's just so much easier. Um,
Yeah.
and then yeah, to make deals, it's easy. You just, hey, I want to buy this. Okay, send PayPal. That's it, right? Like,
Right.
back and forth. Same kind of on like Facebook and Twitter, but
Hmm.
Instagram is just easier, and you don't have to worry. You don't have to hear people's opinions as much as like Twitter and Facebook and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But
Yeah, Twitter is the worst of all the three of them, I would say. Cool stuff on there though. Some great stuff. That Daniel Vincent or whatever, his stack
yeah,
sales and stuff. Like I like what that guy's doing.
he's a
But
good
yeah,
dude. I definitely bought some cards off him that he probably regrets selling because they kind of went up in value. But
well,
I've sold him
yeah,
stuff too that like,
right.
right. It's just
It all evens out though, doesn't it? I
all
feel like
evens
it
out.
just in this hobby, it always tends to even out. Even if you have a massive overpay, like Al said, in 10 years, you're like, oh, okay, that's what it's worth now. Great. Like I'm okay.
Yeah.
It's so yeah, not a big deal. I mean, and who would you say? Well, you know what? I'll just get to the rapid fire because I know what account you're going to mention. So hopefully, give
Okay.
you a chance to do that. But and we could sit here and share stories forever.
Oh
This is kind of
man,
like a taste, and
I
definitely
love it.
after the interview series is over, looking forward to have you back, and we'll have some really good in-depth discussions. But let's get into the Mr. Burrows questionnaire here, kind of a quicker answers, and then we'll wrap it up. So, first
Perfect.
question: best type of card from Upper Deck, in your opinion?
Is this like in general or like from like his cards?
Whatever you want it to be. This is all you, man.
I'm a sucker, and I can't really own one of like the high end players, but I love the high gloss. I love the Young Guns high gloss because, again, I'll keep this brief because it's rapid fire. But everyone loves Young Guns, or a lot of people do, right? It's just the easiest like card to get. It's like,
Yep,
it's like a Topps Chrome rookie or whatever.
exactly.
But you know, I kind of lean toward the more rare stuff. So if I can get that card that's, pretty iconic of a player, and I get the super rare version of it, that's what I want.
Right.
So
All right.
yeah.
I was expecting exquisite basketball. The exquisite base card because we've had some good discussions about that. But no, that's great. High gloss rookie. Yep, I remember getting the Leland Irving, and I was like so overly stoked.
I love
Who the
them.
heck was it? I feel so bad. He's got like a green PMG as his image for his, and I haven't seen him post lately.
Oh,
But
I'm
he's a big
so
Flames
bad.
guy. Yeah, but he helped me get that. So
Perfect.
there it is. I've been waiting to hear about this card, so you can tell everybody it's going to happen. We want it to happen this year. Name one card your collection needs.
Well, there's a couple, but one is, see, again, in the years, I know the year, but I'm like blank. I think it's 10, 11 or whatever it was. But
Hmm.
it's the French back, if you remember, that Panini released. And there's been cards over the years like the Upper Deck OPG, like blank backs that you flip over the card. Oh, it's a blank back, right? Like, it's
So cool. Love it.
easiest day, but like easiest day to see it, right? Like, oh,
Uh,
this is different. But for some reason, Panini, they just had to make their French back, and there's like literally one line of text that's in French, and that's it.
dang, that's going to be hard to find.
That's it. Like,
Right.
oh my god, it hurts my soul to think about. But yeah, so you would think like if it's a French back, the entire back would be all French text. No,
Yes.
no, it's not. It's
I
definitely
think I
not.
remember when you talked about that, we looked it up, and yeah, it is. It's just one line. Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
think I'll ever find a flurry unless I just somebody happens to list it correctly. You know.
yeah. It's funny because that card's on my want list, and it's been on my want list forever, and I talk about it all the time. But I'm
Hmm.
like now looking up. I think it's nine. Man, I should know this, but it is a 10-11. Yes, I think I was right the first time. 2011 score French back.
Okay.
If anyone has one, I will give you a lot of money for it, even though it's probably worth $5.
That would be awesome to find. Just the story behind finding that card when you do is going to be
Hmm.
next level, for sure.
Yeah.
What is a card, or skipping question here? What is an account you always look forward to seeing a new post from on Instagram?
Aside from yours,
Oh, don't say that. I'm hoping you say somebody else because I'd be happy to bring it up. But yeah, first one that comes to mind.
um, that's tough because there's so many great
Yeah,
collectors and so many different pages.
yeah.
I think this is like very biased, but I
Hmm.
love Tim's page, Red Wings fan 11 underscore I think,
Oh yeah,
um, because with Tim, if he gets a card, he'll message me or like or he'd be like, oh, I want this. I'm thinking about buying this. So I kind of like I have the background like scoop on or behind the
yeah.
scenes scoop of like all these cards he's posted. Like I know that where he's bought them. I know uh in some cases how much he's paid for them. But like
Right.
I love his collection. He just loves his jersey number, and then he
Oh
gets
yeah.
excited for like, oh, I want the set. Like if you scroll up, he's doing like or I guess it was down there as well. The SP
Right.
Authentic, yeah, like the patches on the left there.
Oh yeah. These ones here. Yep.
Yeah, he's like, I love these. I'm doing the set, and I'm like, yeah, let's do it, man. So
Yep.
I know that's an easy answer, but
Right.
I
And
just
shout out to Tim. Your photo game has gone up a notch.
oh yeah,
He used to say, "Gosh, my camera's got to be a lemon or something," because he would get these beautiful cards, and I felt so bad. His pictures, they but now they look yeah, now they're top notch.
if you
So
go to
yeah,
one of
what
his latest posts, I think it was like second row, like middle.
here right
Those
here.
those titaniums, yeah, like come on.
Yeah, nailed it.
And they're
Absolutely
all
nailed it.
jersey number. If you realize they're all
Yep.
30, 34, 34, 93, 93, and then I
Yep.
can't. My eyes 33. My eyes are
33. Yep. Yep.
like I don't
And
know.
he's got his most wanted cards listed on every one too. Like yeah, Tim, and he's a collector of everything, but mostly jersey numbered. And he's definitely a bright spot in this community. So yeah, I'm
He
glad that
definitely
you
he
give
definitely
him a shout
urges me
out.
on to spend some money too. If it's something like that he wants, I'm like, yeah, go get it. If it's something that I want, he's like, hey man, you got to get
Yeah,
that. So
right. He definitely was encouraging us all to spend money there for a bit.
yeah, but there's
Good
so many
point.
accounts. There's so many.
Right.
Like,
You want to throw a few out just off the top of your head?
well, there's it's funny because there's so many accounts that post like super high end cards,
Hmm.
and I'm kind of like you kind of get numb to it. I feel like
Hmm.
when
Yeah.
people are posting the same like super high end cards, like I know there's some great collectors on there, and you're just like, man, I don't know what's so special about this card. Like you have all the other
Yeah.
ones that are numbered out of 3 or whatever.
Right.
Um, there's a lot of like little like people who have like similar basketball collections that I really
Hmm.
love. And I think I mentioned like vintage Pacers. I think is his username. He collects
Hmm.
all Indiana Pacers. He has like a lot of like I think he collects Danny Granger, so it's like a name that
Hmm.
not a lot of people collect.
Yes, I definitely know who that is. He gave the Miami Heat problems at times for
Yeah,
sure.
oh yeah, but yeah, there's a
Yeah.
lot of no one that like stands out as like man, I need to go see what this guy's up to right now. But there's
Right.
a lot of just great accounts. Like
Right.
it's a
And
little
you're
bit
definitely
for everyone.
somebody who appreciates, posting a blank back and showing it a lot of love, or showing love to a random parallel that, us player collectors can get excited about. I know, like Al, for
Yeah,
instance, he gets really pumped about stuff like that too. And
man,
so,
I'm not even blowing smoke. I love that episode with Al. I haven't watched all of them because I don't have all
Right.
the time in the world,
Of
but
course. Yeah.
I've definitely watched most of them. And the one with Al, I really, really liked.
Yeah, you know what, Name? You got to
Yeah,
stop
name.
doing that, man.
Come on,
Jeez,
man.
you're ruining the card community on Instagram, man. Don't worry, we all are posting all of our $1,000 cards. We're gonna have to stop now.
Right?
Carlos, you too, man. Knock it off. We don't need to see those Medanos that are worth $5,000-$6,000. Knock that off. But yeah, no, I'm glad that you have appreciation for that. And yeah, that episode was a lot of fun for me, and just it was a good motivator for me too, knowing that Fleury, he's kind of like the 1A in Minnesota, and he's getting close to being done. And I need to start thinking about how to really appreciate rather than looking forward to new releases. That's going to be where my Jefferson and Glassnow collections are at. So yeah, it
Yeah,
was
everything
awesome
morphs.
talking to him.
Like
It does.
your collecting habits will morph, and like when Flurry doesn't have active cards, he'll still be in sets, obviously,
Oh yeah, just take
but
a couple years to get him back in them, though. I think it'll take a little bit.
and that's the one thing with Al's episode and his collection as a whole that I actually really appreciate, because I used to collect Sakic, right? So I had like,
Mm-hmm.
but the thing is, Sakic has so many cards, like
Oh, so many,
and
endless.
then after his playing career, he's still in sets, like. So that's the one thing that I can appreciate with Al's collection. Like he still goes strong with Aginla, where
Mm-hmm.
I kind of tapped out with Sakic. And
Well, it's hard to do all the other players that you're doing and collect Sakic, so I don't blame you.
yeah,
Yeah. All right, let's get back to it here. Card you miss the most?
uh, missed the most. There's a couple, but they're not like that big. But okay, I'll do a Grabowski centered one, which you're like, what? You sold a
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I
Grabowski?
should say you sold one. Had to been a double.
Yes. So
Okay, see.
when I was chasing, so Bargnani, obviously top rookie and whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't not sorry. Names next question. You do not want to know. Um, I'm not saying it. It's so embarrassing. I still
We say
use.
it when we're done. When we're done being live, you
Oh
should tell
yeah,
me.
I still use the same Hotmail. I have like multiple emails, but I still use my MSN Messenger, Hotmail, whatever. No, it's not good.
All right, go
Not
ahead.
good. If my username is Joe Sakic 19XX, which is atrocious, you can't even imagine what my. Oh no,
I'm
I'm
excited to hear it in the post game. Yeah.
yeah. So when Bargnani's Ultimate Collection Logo Man 1 of 1 went to
Right.
eBay, I
Yeah.
was like in like 2013 or 2012. I was
You
like,
have to get it. You have to get it. Yeah.
I have to get this card, but I don't have money for it. I worked at Walmart at the time. I'm a teenager, right? So I'm like, I gotta sell some stuff. So I sold a Gretzky rookie that I had bought. I sold some other cards. Then
Right.
I have, so this is the one out of a 1 of 1, right? The gold.
Right.
So the one I showed off earlier. The regular one is out of 9. So there's
Right.
only just like the blue parallel.
Right.
So I had a couple and I sold one, and there was auto threads, like the ones where they sign the jersey.
Yeah.
Those are out of 9 as well. I sold to some guy in Hobby Insider this card out of 9, and then I sold the auto threads, which was also out of 9. I sold one of each to someone. I got like $100 or whatever at the time. But I'm like, man, I ended up getting the Bargnani. I lost the auction, but I ended up winning it later. But for some reason, those Grabowski cards I sold, I'm like, I wish I had them back, because
Oh.
I do have doubles, but I have like a lot of doubles of some of them, and I'm like, man, why did I get rid of like just the one? Like, I kind of
Yeah.
wish I just kept it. I don't know. Like one of them, like so this card out of 9, I have like 5 of them.
Oh, and you
Oh,
thinking of doing the whole thing? I get it.
so
Yeah.
I would have had six. You know what I mean? Like I don't have all of them, because that would really hurt
Yeah.
if I had like 8 of 9 and then that's the one I sold.
Yeah, I know that would stink. Yeah.
But like, yeah, I guess if that's my regret, it's not like I haven't regretted too much in the hobby, but
Mm,
yeah, definitely it hurts a
yeah.
little bit to think like, I could have just had that extra one.
I know. I didn't want to make that question. What's a card you regret not winning on eBay? Because we all have deep-seated sadness
Oh
for
man,
certain cards. I don't even. Yeah, let's not go down
I have
that road.
nightmares.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to know the answer to this because you and I are similar in this. But how do you find yourself enjoying, taking time to enjoy your collection? How do you do that?
For my Grabowski and Bargnani mainly, I do have my websites. I don't think I have them linked anywhere, which may or may not be intentional, but I do really enjoy like looking at them. It's almost like it's almost obsessive. Like it's really odd, but
We're
like
all
I'll
obsessive in this hobby in some way or another. Don't worry.
but it's so like with your flurry collection, right? Like
Yeah,
say something pops up on eBay and I'm like, oh, like there was a finest top's finest Bargnani black extractor that popped up the other day out of 9. So it's his rookie out of 9.
that's a big card. Yeah.
So I have one that I got for like way cheaper than it's listed. But I'm like, how many do I have? So I like 2 seconds clicked, boom, looked. I'm like, oh, I only have one. I don't need this other one. Like, but if I had like 6 of them, then maybe I'll buy the seventh, which is
Right.
crazy to think about probably. But
Yeah.
I just love like just the ease of having my collection on a website, and like I can just look at it, right? Like whenever you want. I know people, oh, I like to go upstairs and go to my man cave and look at my cards. I enjoy doing that too, 100%. I'm not gonna do that every day, right? So it's just easier if I'm like, I'm here at my desk and I'm like, I just want to look at my cards. Go on the website, you know, take a trip down, take a trip down
Ah.
memory lane.
Right. Right. I say it
So
all the time. Al's in here. Name. He's worked on a website. You,
yeah,
me. I mean, I can't wait till the one I'm working on now. Spring break's coming up, so I'm gonna have plenty of time to do it. I
there we
really
go.
want to have it done by the end of next week. But um, there's something about doing that, and it's great too for your friends. When it's like, ooh, there's this rare card somebody's selling. Let me go to their website, and you've done that, and you actually helped me find out that I had a Tebow Flurry duel. I'd had it.
Yeah,
It was one of my first cards I ever bought a Flurry. I'd had it. I never scanned it and put it on the website. And you're like, dude, your dream card is on eBay. And I'm like,
yeah.
what do
I'm
you
like,
mean?
you
I
don't
have it
have
already.
it. Yeah,
I know, geez, but I mean that was the helpful part is when people do that. So, yep,
yeah.
I had a feeling it would be that. If you could give a piece of advice to a young collector, a young or a new collector, even somebody our age that was hopping into the hobby, what would be a piece of advice you'd give them?
I would say depend. Just find what you want to collect. So just decide, okay, do I want to collect a player? Do I want to collect a team? And then even within that scope, what do I want to collect? Like what of that player? And just collect what you like, because I think too many people, especially new people in the hobby, they just collect what other people like, right? Like
Right,
I think that's kind of one of the things with the young guns, right? Everyone says, okay, the young gun is the card, and then people just buy young guns, and they don't like they realize it, but they don't realize there's so many of them.
right, right,
So it's like, hey, if you can have a card that you might like better of that player, just buy that. So I think
right,
just people, if you're trying to get into the hobby for your like interest, just find what you like. Like who do you like watching on TV? Like and then collect them. Just
right.
don't collect someone just because people say, oh, this like I don't know, like Mitch has like tremendous cards from the cup, right?
Yes, he does.
If someone sees his account, they'd be like, man, I need to get one of these cards from the cup. But if you don't enjoy those cards, then why are you buying it, right? Like I see some
Right.
of Mitch's cards and I'm like, oh, I would love like the Kovalchuk version of that card, right? But I'm not like, oh, I want the card that you know what I mean?
Right,
Just kind of
right.
find your niche, and then aside from like the interest, like just there's a lot of interesting people out there, and just protect yourself. Like you see so many people getting scammed and like it's just
Mhm.
careless. Like, oh, I sent this guy knee transfer or I sent this guy PayPal friends and family. It's like what to save like $4 in fees or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just protect yourself in deals. 9 out of 10 deals will go perfect. But just that one deal that you got burned for $30 and you might be like, oh, I don't like this feeling, and you won't collect or you know what I mean. So
Right. But you definitely utilize your connections, build up some connections,
oh
right? I
yeah,
mean, just within that, before if you do have that happen, your buddies are there to pick you up and help you not make that same mistake. When that
yeah,
happened to me, I told you guys what happened, and many of you were like, "Don't ever send friends and family again, man. Like, what are you doing?"
yeah,
So, I mean, I do with people that got plenty of vouchers, but I
100%.
think if it's a new person, I've definitely gone goods and services, and you just cover yourself that way.
Yeah,
So
I know a lot of
yeah.
people like utilize like vouchers and stuff.
Hmm.
Honestly, me, I don't think I've ever asked anyone for a vouch because it's like, hey, if I'm sending you PayPal goods and you don't send me the card,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna get my money back, right? So
Right. Well, and again, it just depends. Like if I'm dealing with somebody that like, hey Matt, you know this guy.
yeah, hundred
I
percent.
bought from him 10 times. I'm like, I don't even have to ask. I'm like, all right, great, thanks, dude.
Yeah,
So
I've sent those
nobody's out there to
payments.
burn reputations.
No,
Yeah.
just
Right.
uh, I would just say patience. Find what you want to collect, and then just be wise, be smart,
Right.
be street smart.
There you go. Good piece of advice.
Yeah.
What's your biggest pet peeve? I mean, we all have plenty, but like, what's one currently this year, for instance? Do you have a pet peeve in the hobby that's kind of at the
Mm,
forefront of your mind?
at the forefront, nothing I can think of off the top of my head, but I do hate like kind of what we mentioned earlier. You just see it a lot. If there's a post, right? Like, say someone posts like a one of one, right? Like, and then or just a nice card, not even a one of one, like a really nice card. Half the
Yeah.
comments are like, "Oh, that's off center. Oh, that edge looks brutal." Or it's like,
Yeah.
who gives a crap? Cards out of
Nice job.
5. Like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
I think okay, one of my things is people have become way too obsessed with condition. I feel
Yeah.
like it maybe because I collect a lot of rare stuff that you can
Yep.
kind of, if it's, there's a little nick on the corner, it's okay, or the edge is a little whatever.
Yeah.
But if you're getting like a young gun, obviously that there's like 50,000 of them. Sure,
You want a nice one. Yeah.
sure, I get
Right.
it. But I'll see people, and it's people like negatively just putting their cards up, and I see it all the time now, especially in wrestling. They'll put up a card, even if it's a rare card, and they'll be like, "Oh," and it's nice that they're disclosing their damage, like, "Oh, this edge is whatever." But they'll be like, "Oh, it sucks that this edge is like this," and then they reduce their price. But it's like, this is just a kind of minor wear on a card. Where again,
Yeah.
I appreciate that they're mentioning that there's damage, but some people will
Right.
like literally devalue their card lower than it should be.
Right.
Like, hey, this isn't like a crease or like a corner, like ding corner. This is just edge wear on a thick card. It's like
Hmm.
all thick cards have edge wear. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
I see it a lot more often. It's kind of weird to me that people are just like, oh yeah, this is has damage, so I'm gonna price it lower. And it's like if it's not like a big thing of damage, like
All right.
just price your card accordingly.
Yeah, I think when we went through the pandemic, so many people saw grading as an opportunity to make, two, three, four times the value on a card. And oh, I want a 10, I want a 10, I want a
Yeah,
10. And PSA is not giving tens out like candy anymore. So I mean, it's, and even now, I will just add to that and say, just pulled this one, sending it in for grading. I'm like, dude, it's a one. Like,
yeah.
it's already rare. Like, I'll never understand that. But anyway,
Like
great answer.
if that's your
Yeah,
thing and like you're informed, like it's hard to say who should be sent. Like no one, I can't tell you what to do with your cards.
right. Of
But if
course. Yeah.
someone is like, "Hey, I've been collecting and I want to send this 101," but yet what you're saying is literally the knee jerk reaction is the second it's pulled, like, "Oh my god, I'm sending this in for grading." Like why? Think about it.
Yeah, I just think again, going with your advice too. Don't follow the trends of what people say to do. Do what you think is
Yeah,
right. So,
just have your own opinions.
right. All right. So where do you want to see your collection in 5 years as a whole? Your collection as a whole. Where do you want to see it in 5 years? What do you think it's going to look like?
I want it to be worth like millions of dollars. Like
Yeah. Same
I want
here.
like Bargnani to like somehow become like the prime minister of Italy and then become like a world leader and then all his cards go up in value. No, I'm kidding.
That
I,
would be that would be amazing, and it's on so many levels.
I would like to. So I've definitely narrowed my collection down. Like I've gotten rid of,
Hmm.
not gotten rid of, like sold off stuff and just condense. I
Right.
would like to see that more. Like I want a smaller collection, but I want quality over quantity, basically. Or I have,
Hmm.
even if I think it's quality, I have a lot of quality, but I want to turn that quality into even better quality, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, very much Kelvin-esque with your answer because
Yes,
that's the
100%.
the whole episode that I did with him was about that
Yep,
basically.
exactly.
Yeah.
So like my Saki collection was 1,000 cards, and it was all like base cards, inserts, just like just great cards. Like I love base cards, but
Yeah.
after a while, it's like how many do I need? So like even within that collection, kind of like the Birder thing, I want to get like just down to 50 Sackett cards, and that's it. So I want
Yeah.
50 good cards,
Easy,
right?
easy to do with a player like that because he's got
Yeah,
so many. So you could even get it down to 40 and eventually add 10 more nice ones. So
yeah.
that's good. A lot of people, I'm seeing a lot of people do that right now. And I think that's a smart plan. Less is more
Yeah,
sometimes.
takes up less space. It's less to like deal with,
Right.
but
Right. Like all those amazing boxes you have sealed still that you're
see
probably keeping secret.
yeah, that's where
Anyway.
yeah, that's where like I'm a little bit different. Where it's like I want to condense everything, and then yeah, let me
Right.
just have all these sealed boxes that take up way too much space.
Well, maybe you'll get to a point where you can use those to fund some of your other purchases or not. But all right, last question that isn't a bonus question here is like when people find their way to your page. By the way, I just noticed Tim has over 3,000 followers. Well done
Yeah,
to Tim. You were at 15, about 1,600, but like people that either follow you or new people that are going to follow you in the future, like what impression of you and your collection do you want them to have when they stumble upon your page for the first time?
I just want them to see that I have an eclectic collection, which is very evident by like literally you could go to my first like 4 posts. It's probably 4 different sports. I don't know, maybe like 3 wrestling,
Almost, yeah, it is. It is.
right?
Basketball, wrestling, hockey. Yep.
And like I think most of my purchases now are pretty quality, but I
Hmm.
do obviously have a lot of like weird little cards in the mix there.
Right.
But a lot of that stuff I've kind of had for a long time, so it's not really new
Right.
purchases. But I just want people to like look at my page and be like, this guy definitely collects, and it's not just trying to flip everything.
Right.
And maybe he's a little weird. He likes all these weird players, and he's a cool guy. Let's follow him.
Yeah, I think when I found you and before you were recommended to be on the round table, it was just I liked that I saw variety and I could tell that you had an appreciation for a wider range of just like sport cards in general. You know what I mean? You
Hmm.
kind of are dipping your toes in the waters of multiple sports, and so you're kind of taking it all in. And I mean, you were definitely an influencer in getting me to eventually go to football. I mean, there were times where I thought I'd go for Marvel or go. I mean, there's so many great cards of different sports and
Hmm.
genres. Even if you look at like the Pokemon and Dragon Ball Z type stuff, you see these beautiful cards like Zomdos Collectibles on Instagram. Dude, he posts some cards and like, oh, they're like the Final Fantasy. They're so beautiful,
You get
and
suckered in. You get
yeah,
suckered. You're like, oh, I
yeah,
want that.
yeah, definitely. Jeez
Yeah,
Louise, man, they must be hearing me talk about cards like we want some.
yeah. I want
Um,
to eat all the cards.
Yeah, for sure. All right, this is a fun question, and this is asking a guy who had to edit and re-show the save of saves against his Maple Leafs team.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
but, but but in general, you've been around the sport for a long time. Even when you were younger, you probably knew about Marc-Andre Fleury. But
Of
what's
course.
something that you really like about
I like your collection of his.
him? Yeah, thanks.
I
Yeah.
like. So I always liked. Penguins are not one of my favorite teams ever,
Hmm.
but I always liked the Penguins. Like, obviously he came in 0304. I remember his rookie year like very well.
Yeah.
I just liked that he was on those teams, and I like they were just so fun to watch. Like I know he's the goalie. Like obviously he's not. Like I love Malkin and Sid and all those
Yeah.
guys. Zygmunt Palffy at the time.
That's right.
Um, so I just like I've always kept tabs on them. Like same with the Capitals. Like I loved Ovi and Backstrom. Obviously Backstrom a little bit later, but like
Right.
Semin. I just
Right.
those guys. I've just always kept tabs on them. So like I've always whether I was doing it intentionally, kept tabs on Flurry. He just I just like he's just like a little. He's not eccentric, but he's definitely has like some swag to him.
Yeah.
He seems like a really nice dude, just from
Hmm.
every interview, every single thing I've ever seen.
Right.
And what was you? So obviously, I know a lot of cards in your collection. I don't know every single card in your collection,
Hmm.
but I remember you did a live, and it was like a year end live.
Oh yeah, and then December I was like showing off like my
Yeah,
top 50 types of cards in the collection.
and
Yeah.
then you showed that one card. It was like a dual auto or something, and like Was it Fleury had inscribed something?
Oh yeah, he. I can pull that one up. It's the
Please.
one that with Jordan Stahl. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And that card, I got to give a shout out to. I believe it's Yegus Sports Cards.
Okay.
Instead of Vegas is the Y.
Oh, okay.
It was on eBay for like 3 something or best offer, and he knew who had it, and he found him at the expo, and I think I got it for like 150. But it's the only card like it I've ever seen. I want to say that's 1213 if I have it correct, just knowing the SP Authentic design that year. Yeah, that card is hilarious. Yeah, here it is right here.
Like I didn't even know it existed until you posted it, because obviously, like, your collection runs deep, and so does mine. You don't know every card that I have. Yeah, the
Right.
little face,
I mean, we don't
like
know 100% for sure, but it had to been, right? He had to have done that.
100%. Well, no one else would have
Yeah,
done that.
right. I mean,
That's like
Jordan's not going to do it to himself for sure.
no, and obviously, like, an employee is probably not going to be bold enough to do that. So
No, I don't think so.
I would
Yeah.
love to know, like, if you ever meet him or whatever, or you
I
can have
will
a
ask him about that. I will
yeah,
for sure. I'll show him a picture. Back. Do you remember doing this?
that's
It's a
amazing.
dream of mine to have like a 15-minute chunk of time to talk to him. Like maybe talk to him on my phone or something, like through a FaceTime through his agent, and record it, but like pick out 15 minutes of stuff, and it would be a dream just to talk to him. But to ask him that card specifically,
Yeah.
did you do that? Because that card right there has an amazing story, in itself. But
That kind of
yeah,
embodies his character, right? Like
right.
that's when I saw that card, I was like, man. And then one other little furry thing. This isn't like I remember vividly when Flurry was like in his second year, third year at my local like card show. I guess they always had like pucks signed on a stand with like a card. Like
Yeah.
the
Oh
little
yeah, the
combo.
displays.
They'll sell them.
Yeah.
Like Sakic could be like $100, whatever. They had a Flurry one for like it sat there forever. Flurry signed puck with his young gun, and
Oh my gosh.
it was like $80, at the
That's
time, right?
Canadian.
Canadian.
Canadian too. Oh my
And I
gosh.
remember it just sat there, sat there, sat there, sat there. Never bought it because I obviously didn't collect
Right.
Flurry. And I'm just thinking, man, like that young gun itself, like that's like a $300-400 card now, or whatever it is.
Yeah. There's one that went up to 500 something American. I don't know why. I looked at the condition. It wasn't outstanding. I'm like,
Yeah.
what happened here? Yeah.
So it's funny, like it's one little tidbit of Flurry that I can't shake out of my like you get like little tidbits throughout your life of certain things.
Oh
Flurry,
yeah.
that's like the first thing that pops into my mind when I think of
That's
him.
funny. That's funny. Well, yeah, it's been really nice to hear some of these things from people. I added that in there because I thought it would be really cool to, we spend a lot of time talking about the players that we love and the people that are on here,
Yeah.
and he definitely deserves a lot of the love that he's got, and regardless of how these crazy Minnesota Wild fans think of him, he's definitely going to go down as one of the all-time greats. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's awesome.
that's every fan base is like that.
Yeah, and that's good to know because Kelvin goes, you should be lucky he's not on the Leafs and then not
Oh
playing well for the Leafs,
man.
because he would be people would crucify him regardless of who he is. Patrick Waugh could come out of retirement and play for the Leafs, and he'd be told he's the worst goalie of all time.
I
So
love the Leafs, but it's not the Leafs. It's like there's so many, like every Canadian fan base. There's so
yeah,
many like just delusional fans where it's like, oh,
yeah,
the Leafs are gonna win the cup every year. It's like I love the Leafs. Like I've always been a
yeah,
Leafs fan. Like I don't watch every
yeah.
game now just because of time. I'm old as hell. But like there's some delusional fans. They're just like, oh, they're gonna win the cup every year. And then there's obviously the other side of like, this is the worst team in the world. So and like yeah, if a goalie lets in like 4 goals, it's like crucify him. Like jeez,
Yeah, I
man.
know. It's definitely been a strange side of the sport. I've had some fun conversations on Facebook today with a couple fans, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, do you really
Just
live in this
ignore it.
world?
Just
It's but
ignore
it's
it.
so it so makes me so I'm like I'm sitting here just like stirring the pot. I'm like, I want more, I want more, I want to hear this person be completely ridiculous. But it's kind of funny, I think sports they bring out competition, and with the collecting community, when you're collecting, Grabowski, Bargnani, even
Yeah.
Fleury, to be honest, people have just been quite generous while being competitive for
Hmm.
certain cards, and that's honestly that's one thing that I want to give you a compliment on. Like, you always looking to help you've sent me so many cards. Like
Yeah.
the best thing is, like, every time a big card on Facebook or Instagram gets posted a story, you, Tim, Kelvin, all you guys, boom. I
Yeah.
don't even know if you have this, but here, just in case. And that's a huge part of this community that I like. So thanks for that.
Sometimes, like, and I tell people all the time, if it's the other way around, like, I rather people like 50. This never happens because I don't know that many people, but like
Yeah.
50 people literally send me the same card, I'll be
Yeah.
like, oh, don't need it, thanks, appreciate it. I rather that happen than like something pop up and they're like, does he have it? I don't know. I'm not gonna send it. Like,
Right.
I
Exactly.
rather someone like 1,000 different times people send me a card and I need one than people not send it. Like, it's just, I tried that with people with, like, I know I've definitely checked your website a couple times and then been like, oh, you have it. And other times, like, you're
Yeah.
just going quick. Like, maybe I'm out. And I'll just
Yeah.
send it.
On
I'll just
time.
send it to you. Be like, hey, I don't know if you have it, but like, just letting you know.
Right. It's the thought that counts, man. And that's what keeps this community, seriously, one of the best parts of collecting is just meeting people like you and everybody that's been on the show and the people on YouTube. And yeah, I mean, I like that we're keeping it like this. I would hate to see us go the other direction. That's why I associate, like you, I associate with a lot of people who aren't, collecting all McDavid, Crosby, Ovechkin. Not that if they do, they're not great people. I know
Exactly.
some real nice people out there that do collect those people, but in general, I feel like the people who are a little more passionate player collectors are the ones that I tend to vibe with, and same with you. So,
Yeah.
cool, dude. Well, hey, any closing comments before we close it down here?
I will say there's a. Okay, so for Bargnani, I'm probably the only collector in the world left. I'm not gonna lie.
Hey,
There's
nothing wrong with that.
there's been people over the years that, like, they were the big collectors, and then just every single one, hey, I'm selling to me, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm the sucker that's just like, hey, take my cards. But for Grabowski, which I know was the main kind of focus of this episode,
Mm-hmm.
there are a couple collectors of his in Belarus because he's
Wow.
from Belarus. He's not, so he
Okay.
played on these Russian teams, but he's from Belarus. And so, like, the one guy I talked to over the years, and I have him on Instagram and stuff. He has a pretty good collection,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think he has like anything that he has some 101s and stuff. Like, obviously, I can't get all of it,
Right.
but he
Of course
doesn't
not.
have any, like, definitely not the 4 cards that I need. He doesn't have those. But there's another collector in Belarus that I've never spoken to directly because I think he's like
Right.
straight up like no English, like
Okay.
doesn't have an online
Google
presence.
Translate.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I know for a fact he has some like those letter cards, like letter out of
The
9 or
101,
whatever.
yeah,
Yeah, like
101, or
each
the
one is a
basically
101.
101s. Yeah.
Like, he has a couple of those. He has a couple like really nice cards. I'm like, man, I would love. So if anyone thinks that I'm the only Grabowski collector in the world, joke's on you. There's other people. There
That's
might
a
be
good
only
way to
two
wrap it
more,
up.
but that's yeah, for
Awesome,
every
dude.
collector, for every player, there's probably someone that collects him or has collected him.
Hmm.
So it's kind of crazy that, like, how some stuff goes. Like, a card that
Hmm.
you might think is worth $2, pop it on eBay and it sells for 50. It's like, oh, like, this guy really needed that card, right?
Right. That's interesting because that surprises me too. I don't think you've ever told us that or told me that. So that's neat to hear. And it's nice to see players who, there's, again, hockey, I feel, is so unique. There's so many passionate collectors overseas, in
Yeah.
Canada and the States, of guys that you're like, Leland Irving, on my case, I know where the 101 from the cup is, and his name's John, super nice guy. Sold me another 101. He's like, nope, not ready to let it go. It's like there are some collectors of players that you would never guess. And
Yeah.
I mean, that guy, Mogo,
Yeah.
yeah, what the heck's it, Mogo 89. He played with Leland Irving. Like, the
Oh,
connections are
did
just
he?
crazy. Yeah, he did. Yeah,
Dang.
it's crazy, man. So, yeah,
That's
it's
cool.
it's it's a great community. Thanks for being such an amazing part of it, man. I can't wait to have you back on here, and
Man, I
appreciate your
appreciate
time.
it.
Thanks,
Hey, I
Alex.
appreciate you having me and give me a platform to talk about Grabowski. I can do it all day.
That's right. The Grabowski master. Here he
Yes,
is, one
sir.
of them. All
Hey,
right.
one
Well,
of the three.
thanks, Name and Carlos and Al and AC guy. I'll make sure I
Appreciate
get
it.
everybody here. Baseball card curmudgeon. Love that name, by the way.
So good.
Yeah, it's awesome. Thanks for your time, everybody. And we'll catch you on the next one. Have a good night.
Take care, everyone.